I request you all to be seated. This is going to take. Yes, I request the audience to kindly rise as the chief guest has arrived.
This number.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all for the 31st Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture. This annual lecture serves as a tribute to the enduring legacy of Bharat Ratna Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri, a leader whose values of sincerity, simplicity, integrity, and dedication to the nation continues to inspire us. I extend a special and heartfelt welcome to our esteemed chief guest, Shri Suman Bery, Vice Chairperson, NITI Aayog. Sir, it is indeed a privilege to have you amongst us this evening. May I also extend my warm welcome to his wife, Mrs. Maitri Bery. Your gracious presence deeply honors us today. This event has been organized by Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust in collaboration with the National Museum, Government of India, and Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi. Established in 1995, our institute has been committed to upholding the values espoused by Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. Today, we stand tall as one of the premier management institutions in the country, offering 5 AICTE-approved postgraduate management programs and a fellow program in management. As we proceed, I would now invite our esteemed chief guest, Shri Suman Bery, Vice Chairperson, NITI Aayog, Shri Anil Shastri, Holding Trustee, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, Shri Sunil Shastri, Trustee, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, Mrs. Manju Shastri, Member, Management Committee of Lal Bahadur Shastri Education Society, and Colonel Ajay Sood, Chief Administrative Officer, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi, to kindly proceed for the ceremonial lighting of the lamp and pay floral tributes to the portrait of Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. I now request Shri Sunil Shastri, Trustee Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, to extend a formal welcome by offering a bouquet to our esteemed chief guest. I also request Dr. Sheetal Singh, Head Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial, to offer a planter to the esteemed chief guest. While a luminary of Shri Suman Bery's stature does not require an introduction, it is my privilege to request Mr. Mudit Shastri, Trustee Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, to provide a brief introduction of our distinguished chief guest, Shri Suman Bery.
Good evening, Mr. Anil Shastri, Mr. Sunil Shastri, and Mr. Suman Bery. A warm welcome to all the guests present here. At the onset, I would like to thank Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust for giving me this opportunity of introducing such an esteemed guest today. Mr. Suman Bery is currently Vice Chairperson, NITI Aayog, in the rank and status of a Cabinet Minister. An experienced policy economist and research administrator, Mr. Bery took over as NITI Aayog Vice Chairperson from 1st May 2022. At the time of his appointment, Mr. Bery was a Global Fellow in the Asia Program of the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars in Washington, D.C., and a non-resident fellow at Bruegel, an economic policy research institution in Brussels. He was also a member of the board of the Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation, New Delhi. From early 2012 till mid-2016, Mr. Bery was Royal Dutch Shell's Global Chief Economist based in The Hague. In this capacity, he advised the board and management on global economic and political developments. He was also part of the senior leadership of Shell's Global Scenarios Group. During this time at Shell, he led a collaborative project with Indian think tanks to apply scenario modeling to India's energy sector, which was later published. Before his appointment at Shell, Mr. Bery served as a Director General of the National Council of Applied Economic Research, NCAER, in New Delhi, one of India's most respected institutions of empirical socio-economic research. During his tenure, NCAER greatly extended its global links and was recognized as one of India's leading think tanks by the Independent Global Think Tank Initiative. In his decade leading NCAER, Mr. Bery was at various times member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council of India's Statistical Commission and of the Reserve Bank of India's Technical Advisory Committee on Monetary Policy. He also commented extensively in the media on economic issues and contributed a monthly column to an Indian business newspaper. Prior to NCAER, Mr. Bery was with World Bank in Washington, D.C., which he joined through the Young Professional Program. His career at the World Bank spanned research on financial and sector development and country policy and strategy, notably in Latin America and Caribbean. His country experience included Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Peru. His experience on financial sector reform in Latin America led to an appointment as special consultant to the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India from 1992 to 1994. His professional writing includes contribution on the political economy of reform, financial sector and banking reform, and energy trends and policy. He has a master's degree in public affairs from Princeton University School of Public and International Affairs and an undergraduate degree in philosophy, politics and economics from Magdalen College, University of Oxford. Today's topic, as we all know, is competitive and cooperative federalism. Post our independence, while our constitution was being developed, our nation builders were intelligent enough to create a quasi-federal democracy. Howsoever, we did not mention federalism in the constitution, which led to development, but due to various socio-political factors, various regions were deprived of fair allocations of funds and support from the central government. With the current government coming into power, various initiatives have been taken to rectify the same, with the government following a more equitable distribution of resources. But a major challenge comes from states like West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, and Orissa, etc., who need additional support from the central government to ensure consistent growth. And how the government takes this forward will be an interesting study in years to come. Few weeks earlier, I had the privilege of listening to Mr. Bery's interview. In that interview, one of the journalists asked him his stand on the World Bank statement that for India to become a high-income status economy, we need a consistent growth of 7.8%. Mr. Bery's response was inspiring to young ears like mine. He said, with US-China slowing down due to various internal and external factors, and with the current government of India investing heavily in infra, roadways, higher and technical education, it is India's moment to grasp. We can surely achieve 7.8 to 8% growth over the next many years to come. However, for this, India must foster a conducive environment for MSMEs to work closely with large corporates and government and be able to compete with international MSMEs. To ensure this, we must focus on skill development across the country. I would also like to add and share with everybody, the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust has set up a couple of colleges in villages like Manda near Allahabad and Solsinda district in Indore, where they are promoting and teaching polytechnic and ITI skills to various young aspirants. I feel one of the key skills in current times will be artificial intelligence, AI. Though AI won't take our jobs, but people who know AI might take. Hence, it is important we look towards upskilling ourselves. I would also like to add that on an immediate basis, AI is a bigger threat to the Western world and the Western and developed world, though it might have a trickle-down effect in later years in a country like ours. With this, I would like to welcome Mr. Bery to the prestigious Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, and I would like to thank all of you for being present here. Thank you.
Thank you, Muditji. May I now request Shri Anil Shastri, holding trustee, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, to deliver the welcome address.
The chief guest for today's function and the speaker for the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, Mr. Suman Bery, Mr. Sunil Shastri, trustees of the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming all of you to the 31st Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture this day on the 22nd of March 2022. As we all know, normally we hold this program on 11th January, which is the death anniversary of Shastriji, but for some reason, it was perhaps not practical and feasible to hold the program on 11th January, so we fixed it up today. But the lecture is being organized to perpetuate the memory of one of the greatest sons of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri. And I'm so happy, Mr. Suman Bery, that you have accepted our invitation. I know that I wrote to you, and I was looking for a reference, then how do I get through to him? And because I would normally, if I know the person, there's no issue. But then in your case, I had not met you ever before, and I had not known you. And one of our friends and also member of our advisory body, Mr. Peter Hassan, we were just having a cup of tea, and then he said that, why don't you get Mr. Suman Bery? I said, I don't know him. And of course, I have heard about him, and he took over NITI Aayog in 2022. And so I immediately wrote to him, and he accepted the invitation. And I also would like to welcome Mrs. Suman Bery, who is here with us today. In fact, before coming here, we had requested Mr. Bery to come to the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial so that we could take him through the life and times of Shastriji, which he did. And I only wish that Mrs. Bery also were there, but doesn't matter. We will have another opportunity, look forward to another occasion when you can find time to visit the Shastri Memorial. And you will see how simple a man he was, even though he reached the highest office in this country of India's Prime Minister. He lived a very, very simple life. And this is displayed in the memorial, which is just next door. I think just about 10 minutes of walk and 3 minutes by car. So it's a matter of great pleasure for Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust. that Mr. Bery is here. In fact, I was talking to him. In fact, I also, let me tell you that there is a friend of mine who was with me in St. Stephen's College, Amrendra Nasing. I think Mr. Anil Razdan would know him, and also Mr. C.K. Sai. I think C.K. is a batchmate. He was in the same class. And so Amrendra told me that Mr. Suman Bery was a classmate of mine in school. So as he entered, he did not ask for anybody else. Mr. Bery said, "Where is Amrendra?" So now I'm looking for Amrendra. I can't see Amrendra. He did tell me 4 or 5 days ago that he would be here. Maybe he has got held up somewhere. So while I was talking to Sumanji in the memorial, I said, that I do not know the content of your speech, which of course we will get later, which can be put on our website of the memorial and also of the institute so that people can access, and maybe we'll also give it to the media. So, but then I said that perhaps, the audience and more so I would be interested to know that it is of course replaced the Planning Commission, but how is it different from Planning Commission, which he said he will do it in his lecture. And then of course there are so many things, which NITI Aayog has been, it is called National Institution for Transforming India. That's the full name of NITI. But in NITI is also a policy, so it has a double meaning. And so some of the key programs that they have been involved with are Atal Innovation Mission, Aspirational Districts Program, National Nutrition Mission, Digital India, Women Entrepreneurship Platform, National Data and Analytics Platform, Lifestyle for Environment. But then Mr. Bery said that, he would focus on competitive and cooperative federalism, because he would be able to relate this particular topic more easily with Shastriji's administrative capabilities and his thought processes and, of course, his entire administrative experience. So this is what he said, and particularly Shastriji was also the Home Minister, and a very powerful Home Minister. This was mentioned by one of the journalists called Inda Malhotra, who's no more, and he said it in a meeting where Shivraj Patil also was there. He was the Home Minister at that time. I was also in that meeting. It was connected with related to Shastriji's birth centenary celebrations. And he told Mr. Shivraj Patil that you must remember that we are sitting here to perpetuate the memory of Shastriji, and Shastriji was perhaps one of the most powerful Home Ministers, and we got to learn a lot of lessons from his administrative capabilities. That was, of course, he mentioned in a lighter vein. But then at that time, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said that, yes, you might be a lighter vein, but you have said everything what perhaps anybody would have said of the present situation. So with this, I would, we all look forward to your lecture, Mr. Bery. And he, of course, normally in 2 cases we have had question and answers on the request of the speakers. One was His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He was keen that there should not be a one-way traffic and there should be question and answers, and which was very successful. And then Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he also wanted its question and answers, which was arranged at that time. And Mr. Bery also mentioned to me that will you have question and answer? I said we will organize that. There's no issue. So I'm happy to announce that after his lecture, there will be opportunity to all of you to ask questions on any issue that Mr. Bery would be speaking about. And the mics have been already arranged. So if anybody who just raise your hand, the mic will come before you, to you, and then maybe you can ask your question. And as I said, my interest would be to know how it has replaced Planning Commission, and how is it different from Planning Commission? Because Planning Commission also, I think, in my view, did play a pivotal role in formulating the 5-year plans and future economic growth for the country. But I'm sure that whenever change takes place, change is also the better. So I would request you to kindly please tell us how is it better than the Planning Commission?
Thank you, sir. Now, with great honor, I invite our chief guest, Shri Suman Bery, to deliver the 31st Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture on the topic Competitive and Cooperative Federalism, Role of NITI Aayog. Sir.
Shri Anil Shastri ji, Honorable Holding Trustee and Chairman of the Board of Governors, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Shri Sunil Shastri, esteemed Trustee of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Trust, other trustees in the audience, and members of the audience. It is indeed a privilege to deliver this 31st Lal Bahadur Shastri lecture today. I am humbled to be included in the pantheon of giants such as former President Shri Ramnath Kovindji, who delivered the lecture last year, or many years ago, my esteemed friend Lord Meghnad Desai. Through the steadfast comment of the trustees, the values and legacy of Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji continue to inspire succeeding generations. And it is therefore an honor to engage with you and with members of the audience and to acknowledge your own significant contributions to public service and education. I am touched that so many students, members of the general public would choose to spend a Saturday afternoon before Delhi has got too hot to listen to what I have to say. So thank you for being here. You had mentioned that normally this would have happened in January, and I understand why, but it's a happy coincidence that apparently a very fine biography of Shastri ji has just come out, and I was not able to attend the launch at the India International Center, but somebody who was at the launch, Shekhar Gupta, has written about how important the 19 months of Shastri ji's prime ministership were in shaping the India of today. And for that reason, I'm glad that this is happening now. Now, the topic I've chosen was mentioned by Anil ji, but let me start from the point that was made earlier about India's federal roots, which is, of course, the matrix within which NITI Aayog needs to function. But let's start with today. Today, India stands at, if I could just have the water here, please. India stands at a crucial juncture in its development journey, poised to emerge as a global economic power. And I think it was important for me to come to you after touring the Lal Bahadur Shastri Museum and Memorial, because frankly, the mid-60s were desperate times for India economically. We had a great deal of political, as it was, standing, particularly after independence. To some extent, that was impacted by the war with China in 1962. But economically, those were difficult times. And so let us not be complacent about the fact that we soon are expected to become the third largest economy in the world and are already the fifth largest economy in the world. As the world's fastest growing major economy, with a thriving digital ecosystem, a flourishing agriculture, and a drive towards self-reliance through Atmanirbhar Bharat, the nation is reshaping its development paradigm so as to seize new opportunities in a fast-changing world. And that was also a point that was made in the introduction to me, which is that India is well placed, perhaps better placed than some of the present rich countries, to benefit from the new technological changes, particularly AI. As we aspire to become a developed society by 2047, which is what Honorable Prime Minister means when he talks of Viksit Bharat, and I insist we're talking about a developed society. A developed economy is a means to an end, a necessary means, but as a Prime Minister made clear in his speech in August 2022, soon after I was appointed to this role, the point is that we want all the aspects of modernity, and this is not only a project of NITI Aayog or the government, it's the aspiration of all of Indian society. And he also makes the point that 25 years is enough time to transform a nation. He mentions the period between 22 and 47. In 1922, there was no expectation that India would be a free country by 1947, and indeed, the Lutyens' Delhi that we all are now in was erected in the 20s as in the expectation that the British Empire would survive for 1,000 years. And as the saying goes, we know how that movie ended. And so it is not impossible for us to strive to become a developed society by 2047. But what Prime Minister insists on is that this is not just a project of the bureaucracy, not just a project of even politicians. It needs to be a Jan Andolan. And that is one reason I'm so pleased that there are so many students in the audience, because it is for them to create the Viksit Bharat, and it's for them that Viksit Bharat needs to be created. Now, as many of you know, the Indian Constitution establishes a delicate balance between competitive and cooperative federalism. Frankly, I did not know until this evening that it does not actually mention the term federal, but I'm not surprised. Having lived in the United States for an extended period and having worked extensively, as was mentioned, in Latin America, it's only in this role that I, as a Vice Chairman NITI Aayog, that I've become aware of the subtle but crucial difference between a federal government where the United States of America, United Mexican States, the Brazilian Federation, the Argentine Federation, these were individual states that came together to invest powers in a central government. As all of you know, the Indian story is different. We have started out as a union, and certainly the states as they exist now were created after a lot of hard work, integrating the princely states, and then the linguistic reorganization of states in 1955. And I do think that as we talk about cooperative and competitive federalism, we, in this respect, as so many others, should be aware of the idiosyncrasy of the Indian experiment. The other idiosyncrasy obviously being the fact that from the beginning, we put our faith in universal suffrage, which was not the case of any of the rich countries, or today's rich countries. Now, competitive federalism encourages states to enhance governance, attract investment, and improve socioeconomic indicators, and it is supported indeed in the Constitution by provisions as the 7th Schedule, which divides up the responsibilities of the Union, the states, and then the concurrent list. The creation of a finance commission, which is an instrument that has worked remarkably well and continues to provide undisputed awards. This was Article 2080. And more recently, the GST framework, Articles 246A, 279A. But the Constitution also provides for cooperative federalism, which ensures center-state collaboration through mechanisms like the Interstate Council, mentioned in Article 263, zonal councils, and grants and aid in Article 275. So against that background of, as it were, the core constitutional basis, I want to come to the question that Anilji put. So what is NITI Aayog? How does it differ from the Planning Commission? And how is it pursuing the task of competitive and cooperative federalism? So I would start by saying that NITI Aayog's formation is more radical than I think is generally recognized. And one reason that I accepted this invitation is that as concerned citizens, I think that, as it were, the radicalism and also the mode of operation of NITI Aayog ought to be a matter of public interest and indeed public debate. Now, the Planning Commission, unlike what I'd mentioned before, was not a constitutional body, but it was established in 1950, and then, as now, was accountable to Parliament, even though as the Ministry of Planning, represented, as it is today, by a Minister of State with independent charge, which is to say that I, as Vice Chairman, am not accountable to Parliament directly. I am accountable to the Chairman of NITI Aayog, the Honourable Prime Minister, in the way that previous deputy chairmen of the Planning Commission were accountable and named by the Prime Minister. A small digression is that Prime Minister Modi, who envisioned NITI Aayog, has taken the step, which actually was not the norm in the days of the Planning Commission, that each one of the three vice chairmen, and I am the third, that he's appointed, have been economists. And I think that that speaks to his interest in and belief in, as it were, economic thinking as integral to the progress of the country. Now, the Planning Commission was a critical interface with India's states, undertaking reviews of their annual development plans to ensure consistency with national priorities. And as many of you know, Prime Minister Nehru, and not just him, even the World Bank, there was a great belief in planned development at the time of India's independence, and I would dare say even through the period of Prime Minister Shastri's premiership. But reflecting the reality of a liberalized economy and following a declaration by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, in his first address to the nation on Independence Day 2014. As you know, he was sworn into office in May 2014. The government of India took the decision effective the 1st of January 2015 to replace the Planning Commission with NITI Aayog, and as Anilji has already indicated, NITI in English is an acronym for the National Institution for Transforming India, while NITI is, of course, in Hindi policy. So it's a there's several things in that label. First, transforming India. Second, the shift from planning to policy, and the idea that India's development will be the collective effort of what are now 140 crore individuals. Government has an important guiding role, but really it is individuals, entrepreneurs, businesses who are in the driving seat. To come back to why this is radical, I want to point out that this shift was not primarily or only an administrative restructuring, although NITI Aayog is a much smaller institution than the Planning Commission it replaced, but it marked a paradigm shift from a centralized top-down approach to a dynamic, participative, and state-led governance model. And as Prime Minister Modi noted at the time of NITI's formation, through NITI Aayog, we bid farewell to a one-size-fits-all approach towards development. The body celebrates India's diversity and plurality. And I don't think I need to point out to this audience that this decision came from somebody who had been the chief minister of a state for 10 years and had, to some extent experienced the dynamic of interacting with the Planning Commission as a chief minister. And so this is quite important. By suspending financial disbursals, NITI Aayog has transferred accountability for their development to the states. And in what follows, I will describe ways in which NITI now, with what tools and what interactions, attempts to support states at their invitation and at their initiative in their development journey. So I come now to NITI for states, the cooperative federalism, and the competitive bit will come a little later. I sometimes call NITI a intellectual startup because even though in January we celebrated 10 years, it remains and should remain an institution in evolution. And indeed, one of the remarks Honorable Prime Minister made to me, while I was being considered for the job, was मनमोहन जी भी सोचते थे कि ये इस बदलाव की ज़रूरत है. So there was a sense that the Planning Commission had got a little stuck in a way of doing things. So we are still experimenting, and what I'm going to describe is the current state of play. And at the end, I'll make a few remarks about how I think this might need to evolve in the future. So NITI Aayog today, I would say, and this is available on our website in our annual report, which is laid before Parliament, was laid before Parliament in the budget session. We operate on 4 key mandates, and I'm ranking them on the basis of what I'm going to talk about. The first, which is my topic, is strengthening cooperative and competitive federalism. But the three others are promoting knowledge and innovation and encouraging research-driven policy making, driving transformational change, and the monitoring of schemes underway and evaluating their impact at the ground level. And because in my limited time and to leave time for questions, I want to focus on cooperative and competitive federalism, the other issues I will take up if in the question and answers if there's interest. Now, I want you to think in some ways of a waterfall or a cascade, which is to say there is an apex body which is supported by other mechanisms, and that then provides the, if you like, the legitimacy and the platform for us to engage with states in many ways. The apex body is what we call our governing council, which meets once a year under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Modi and has on it the chief ministers of all states and administrators or lieutenant governors of UTs and administered territories. This forum symbolically and substantively ensures a unified national development narrative reflected in the phrase Team India. I've been honored to be a participant now at 3 meetings of the Governing Council, and it is frankly impressive and humbling to see chief ministers converse amongst themselves and with the Honorable Prime Minister as committed development practitioners. The newspapers obviously focus on politics and the political differences and all of that, but I can say that one of India's great institutional achievements is that there is ultimately a deep consensus on the need to transform India, the need for India to grow, and that is the side of India that I'm privileged to see at the Governing Council. Now, one of the innovations that Prime Minister Modi instituted more or less as I joined in 2022 is much deeper preparation for meetings of the Governing Council. And the Cabinet Secretary is supported by NITI Aayog to convene a meeting of chief secretaries of states. But the important point is that the run-up to that meeting, which takes place a couple of months before the Governing Council, is 6 months of interaction between line ministries, the states, NITI Aayog, with a clear, if you like, agenda for the meeting, ease of doing business, ease of living, what have you. And this is, I've been told by chief secretaries, a new and very valuable way in which they learn from NITI, they learn from each other, and there's a huge amount of, as it were, stakeholder consultation that goes on. I want to say all of this because it is by these means that the bureaucracy, if you like, supports the political heads, the chief ministers, in chalking out a direction for their states, which is consistent with a national agenda. Now, from this apex, what cascades down, and this has been, in a sense, under evolution, is a series of interactions between NITI leadership, myself, our four members, our CEO, and project directors, and the states. And I will just, to leave a bit of time for question and answers, go through some of the initiatives. So the systematic interaction of NITI Aayog with state governments has gotten formalized, or has not formalized, but has been given shape through the creation of what we call state institutions of transformation, which form part of a much expanded state support mission, which gets a line item in the union budget. But it is very much is consistent with the philosophy of demand-led support and decentralized decision-making. And to date, 28 state institutes of transformation have been notified. Why do states feel the need to do this? I would say partly because they are encouraged by NITI Aayog's own transformation, and they believe that they're now, to some extent, not obsolete, but that their planning units, which tended to exist to service the annual plans, that they also need modernization now. And it is turning out to be the case that in the way that NITI helps the Prime Minister think about the national growth agenda, the state institutes for transformation, they're getting started now, are meant to be a resource which is supported by NITI and local academic partners to work with states for their development agenda. Additionally, NITI this year has launched a state NITI workshop series, and these workshops, held across India with active participation from states and international agencies, have focused on themes relevant to the socioeconomic development of the states, UTs, in emerging areas of national and global interest. In this year, over 30 such workshops have been conducted, covering diverse topics such as India's fishery sector, border security, artificial intelligence, and more. And such interactions are an important platform for cross-learning. So, Kerala's strategic branding in tourism, which has turned the state into a prime travel destination, serves as a case for other states looking to enhance their tourism industries. And those of you who want to pursue this should know that there is now a NITI for States portal, which is online and is accessible to make comparisons between states and districts. While the focus up till now has been with on NITI's interaction with states, I cannot conclude without mentioning two other flagship initiatives of the states, but with strong support from NITI. So, some of you may have heard of the Aspirational Districts Program. This was launched by Honorable Prime Minister in January 2018 with a very distinct philosophy, which was that focused managerial attention, more than money, was needed to generate progress in 112 of the most backward districts of India. And NITI Aayog has played a crucial role in fostering competition and cooperation among states. So, as an example, there's been a remarkable transformation in Assam, in Hailakandi district. Now, as an exception, NITI does have a small budget for awards and awarded 3 crore rupees under the so-called Champions of Change rubric. The district has made rapid strides in infrastructure development, enhanced access to safe drinking water, expanded electricity coverage. Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir, which Mrs. Bery and I were privileged to visit last year, is also a shining example of financial inclusion and skill development. I was privileged to see the joy with which the community had applied their award for upgrading the district hospital, and encouraged by the success and indeed the international reputation of the Aspirational Districts program. Prime Minister launched in January of 2023 an aspirational blocks program. I mentioned that aspirational districts were just 112 in number out of 700 districts in India. Aspirational blocks, we've selected 500. And the underlying philosophy remains the same, that focused attention on key indicators supported by data and some comparisons will produce, as it were, results through the administrative infrastructure, although in the case of aspirational blocks, we do have much more engagement with the panchayats. Now, I've talked a lot about the cooperative dimension. Let me say that it is intrinsic to the Prime Minister's sense of how you get performance at the state level without handouts, as it were, without the danda, if you might like, of cash payments. Here, NITI has succeeded in establishing itself as a neutral source of various kinds of indices which compare the performance of states. Of these, I would say that a recent index is a fiscal health index, a national multi-dimensional poverty index. But of all of these, I would say it is what NITI does in the Sustainable Development Goals that has turned out to be the most powerful. As you know, Prime Minister Modi had just taken office when the United Nations promoted or got global agreement on the Sustainable Development Goals, which were arrived at in a rare moment of international consensus. And that has shaped a set of goals for 2030 called Agenda 2030. It has been India's great achievement, and I think NITI Aayog should take credit for some of this, that this has become, this has been embraced by states and districts in the most remarkable way. And so when NITI Aayog comes out with its ranking of states' performance on the SDG index, as we did last summer, this is immediately seized upon, and I think it was Uttarakhand that led last time. Before that, it was Himachal. And what I can say is that this has proven to be a very important stimulus, a political stimulus at the state level for, for policy action based on the indicators. Now, we do get complaints, and it's a sign of how seriously it's taken. Oh, well, you didn't use our latest data, we've done so much better, etc., etc. But just to say that it is by creating a culture where people wish to compete with each other on development performance that you can reconcile accountability at the state level with a sense of political urgency. I'm out of time, and I would just conclude with two final points. One is how will this evolve? Not so much, if you like, structurally, but more substantively. So, as was already mentioned, it is very important for India to maintain and, if possible, accelerate its growth performance. The non-economists in the audience, for the non-economists, this would not mean very much, but on a per capita basis, India has succeeded in growing at around 6% a year for the last 30 years, and I'm pleased that the staff who have done this work for me are in the audience, and we have to increase that by about 20% to from 6%, 6.5%, to something like 8%. But we have to do that in the presence of the challenge of creating jobs in a technologically fast advancing environment, and the challenge of climate change. And let me just indicate what it is about climate change that is going to require even more decentralization. The reality, we all know about, 2 degrees centigrade, 1.5 degrees centigrade. But what we are seeing, and we're at the beginning of summer here, is that weather, perhaps more than climate, is becoming much more unpredictable. Which is to say that regions that had to deal with drought can sometimes have to deal with floods. You would have seen in Dubai that they had to close down the airport because there was a flood that they were not expecting to. 100-year events are happening every 5 or 7 years. Why is that relevant to what I've been saying? It's relevant because it means that the design of our schemes has to become more flexible. And it is building in this flexibility in cooperative and competitive federalism that is going to be the challenge going forward. Just because of my throat, let me just conclude by summarizing what I hope you will take away from this audience, from this address. First, that NITI Aayog deals with states in a very different way from the Planning Commission. And while it also has an interface with line ministries and an interface with the Prime Minister to whom we report, I would say that for the great bulk of the citizens of India, it is that transformation in the relationship with the states that is key. The second point is that it's a question of winning states over with ideas rather than money. And this is a way of establishing accountability. And the third point is that engagement cascading from the Governing Council and the Chief Secretary's Council results in a very fluid dialogue between myself as Vice Chairman and the Chief Minister, our domain specialist members and the line ministries in the states, and then of course our Chief Executive and the staff that he mobilizes. So the proof of the pudding ultimately will be in the eating, whether we can grow faster and whether the states which are, if you like, less affluent at the moment do better than the states who are currently more affluent, but that only time will tell. So thank you for your attention, and let me return to my desk, to my seat.
Thank you, sir. We are deeply grateful to you for your illuminating insights and enriching perspectives on this critical subject. We are now open to questions from the members in the audience. You may raise your hands. Yeah.
Respected Chairperson, good evening, and Sunil ji and Anil ji, thank you so much for having us over. I come from Bundelkhand, which is a very backward area, and my name is Jiteshwari Raghavendra Singh. I'm a farmer woman, as they call me, and I would like to ask you a very simple question. I come from the district of Panna, the Great Panna Diamond Mines, which are into 90 square miles. And I'm very sorry to say, I've written at least 10,000 letters to everybody that please, please, please look into the matter, as corruption is at a very high rate there. Then after that, I went to the Economic Offence Wing, wrote letter to them. There was no response in it. Then I went to the High Court as a local civilian to help my people, because those mines were allocated for the Military Welfare Fund. And the whole file runs into 900 pages. So I would just like to know, and now since you're there, and I'm God's grace that you're here today, I was not expecting you to be here. Please look into the matter, and I'll be highly obliged. Thank you so much. If you have anything to say on the 90 square mile kilometers diamond mines, the only diamond mines of India, I would be grateful.
The only thing I can say is that, that the instruction from Prime Minister to his Council of Ministers, firstly, obviously I neither know about the case nor can comment about it, but from the fact that you're raising the issue, you seem to feel that it's a union government issue, not a state government issue?
Both.
Okay.
If they both would cooperate and be aligned, I'm sure results would come. That's all I'm there for, as a patriot.
Right.
Secondly, there's one more thing I would like to say. I've written to the UNESCO, UNICEF, and all over, and even to the Prime Minister. Now the Cain-Betwa link, it is being made on the crater which creates diamond. Actually, diamonds are born. And I come from a state where we have diamond fields, the only diamond fields of India. The Russian program during 2010, and Anil ji was also there, and we have an exchange program in the Bundelkhand University.
Is there a question? The question is...
Yeah, question is I'm asking you that what happens to my district and my state, and Bundelkhand is divided into two, which is MP and, just a minute, MP and UP. And it's a question now, since you said that you were not aware of it, since now you're aware of it, I would be grateful if you could table the matter with the PMO and the Chief Secretary and our Honorable Chief Minister. That is all. Thank you so much. And we just want scientists to come, and before the project takes off, a clearance should be done that if it is on the diamond crater, which has produced diamonds for trillions and millions of years.
Ma'am, how much
Ji.
of this is connected with what I had to say?
Yeah, because you're from, I just realized it is called Competitive Cooperative Federalism.
Yes, and how is your
It
question
will bring
linked
a
to
lot
that?
of, it will bring a lot of finances to the government and to the Military Welfare Fund. And if the crater is not lost, that particular area will be creating diamonds for millions and trillions of years. That's all. It's a business. That is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
We would like to have the next question.
Sir, good evening. I am Group Captain V.K. Singh from LBSIM, sir. At the very outset, let me thank you, sir, for enlightening us on this very nice subject, sir. My question is, sir, like you brought out that by 2047, we are aiming to become a developed country. Developed society means what kind of society? One is, of course, the economic indicator. And what are other indicators we are aiming for? And what precisely I want to bring out is the kind of income gap. I mean, it is widening between rich and poor. Do you think we'll be able to create any kind of homogeneous society? Not, in ideal sense, but at least up to some extent, with the kind of population we have. I would like just if you can clarify on this issue, sir. Thank you so much.
2 or 3 quick responses. First, there's an approach paper on the NITI Aayog website that gives a range of indicators on social social parameters like literacy rate, like maternal mortality, etc., where these are life expectancy at birth, one of them, which are overall indicators of welfare. So those are the tangible, as it were, benefits of becoming a more affluent than we are right now. But let's be clear. The standards of the or the benchmarks of the World Bank, which are sometimes used, of an advanced economy, is a per capita income just slightly above that of China today, that of a country like Chile, which most people here wouldn't know, but I've worked on. So we're not talking about income levels of the United States or Western Europe or whatever. But it is the case that in terms of the basic amenities of life, and I think what's very important, and Prime Minister has stressed this several times, is that people need to have the basics so they can realize their potential. And so this is all the way from birth to higher education. At birth, you want to ensure that the fetus and the lactating child, etc., that their brain development is not affected by malnutrition, disease, sanitation, etc. It's only then that when they become, as it were, youth, that they will actually be able to realize their aspirations. And then at the other end, students who are in the room, that that they are not only free from want, but they have a set of opportunities. So those are at the individual level. But Prime Minister in his 2022 speech also talked about changes in mindset. I won't go through those, but I can say that those are extremely important to him. He is talking about a modern mindset. And he also talked about what that means for citizenship. So that's also an aspect of where we would like to get to by 2047. But your question was about inequality, and I would say that it's very complicated. Firstly, we're not doing badly, but I think we have done right in prioritizing the elimination of absolute poverty. First of all, I don't think there's a trade-off, and India shows that there isn't a trade-off. I think what is politically important, and frankly, this is exhibiting itself already, is geographic inequality. So there are many dimensions to the inequality dimension, but empowering individuals and giving them a modern mindset, I think, is really the underlying agenda.
Good evening, sir. Hi, I'm Aradhna Shastri. And I have a question to ask while I was just listening to you. It was very wonderful you spoke. That what are the challenges which are faced by NITI Aayog, which to my best knowledge is an advisory body, as compared to Planning Commission, which was more of a statutory body? So regarding the budget, the implementation, so what are the challenges which you face as the Vice Chairperson for NITI Aayog? Thank you.
Actually, I stand to be corrected, but formally, in government there's no difference, and that was the point. There is something called the rules of business that is promulgated by the cabinet secretary, and while we are represented in parliament by a minister of planning, independent charge, we are not, and the planning commission was not considered a ministry. So I don't think there is too much difference. I would say to the contrary, that we have been blessed in the first 10 years of our existence by having the same chairman, the same prime minister, with every prospect that that will remain the case for the next 5 years. And so I would say that gives us a huge tailwind in terms of continuity. But formally, I don't believe there's much change. Now, having said that, I would say that Prime Minister has been very clear. Most of my discussion has been about our interaction with states for the reasons that I mentioned. I think that's crucial. But he is very fixated on accountability. And he says NITI's role is to think big and to think ahead, which is the transformation aspect. And I can give you examples like the green hydrogen mission, the mobility mission, but that once it gets to the stage of being a cabinet decision, then NITI's role shifts. It should not be implementing, it should be observing and monitoring. And it's for that reason that there's a distinction between institutions for implementation and an institution like NITI for thinking is important.
I think that would do. From any student? Okay, I think Smita, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So as we move ahead, I request Colonel Ajay Sood to kindly present a memento to our chief guest as an act of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Sunil Shastri to kindly deliver the words of thanks.
Respected, respected Anil Bhaiya, our chief guest, Shri बेरी साहब, यहाँ पर सभी आए हुए मित्रगण, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि आज लाल बहादुर शास्त्री मेमोरियल लेक्चर जो है 31st वो बहुत अच्छी तरह से संपन्न हुआ और यहाँ पर पूरी तरह से एक नया एक उत्साह मैंने देखा लोगों में। मुझे अनिल जी ने जब कहा रिगार्डिंग प्लानिंग कमीशन की बात कही, उस समय मुझे याद आया कि पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने एज प्राइम मिनिस्टर उसको स्टीयर किया था, उन्होंने उसको प्रिसाइड किया था और सबसे पहली मीटिंग को 1951 में। और उस समय उसके साथ उनके डिप्टी चेयरमैन गुलजारीलाल नंदा जी थे, अनदर ग्रेट लीडर, a person who was loved by everyone. और नेहरू जी के नेतृत्व में सब लोगों ने काम किया और बड़ा भारी आगे बढ़े। मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि आज हमारे बेरी साहब ने बहुत अच्छी तरह से कहा, लेकिन बहुत सी चीज़ें पे अभी लोगों को डाउट है। जहाँ तक हमारा आयोग है, इसमें थोड़ा सा उनको लगता है कि भी क्या होगा, कैसे देश मजबूत होगा, कैसे एक एक जो चीज़ें हैं कैसे ठीक होगा। तो इस पर थोड़ा सा मेरा आपसे निवेदन है कि देखिए, एक बात करने की बात होती है, क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है कि आज जो भी बात करना होता है कोई आपस में जाके कहते नहीं है, किसी पर पहुंच नहीं सकते, कहाँ उठाएं मामला को। तो ये और एक दूसरा बड़ा दुर्भाग्य ये हो गया है कि मुलाकात बहुत कम होती है। आम जनता की मुलाकात अब लोगों के साथ नहीं होती है जैसे पहले होती थी। और आज हर एक व्यक्ति, मेरे पास यहाँ पे बहुत लोग बैठे हैं जो एकदम उठ जाएंगे, खड़े हो जाएंगे, इस बात पर कहेंगे कि साहब मुलाकात नहीं होती, हम नहीं कह सकते अपनी बात। आज अपनी बात को कैसे हम कहें, कैसे पहुँचाएं? नीति आयोग के माध्यम से पहुँचाएं या माननीय किसी मंत्री जी के माध्यम से पहुँचाएं, किससे पहुँचाएं? तो मेरा अपना एक विचार है, मेरा अपना एक सोच है कि इसमें बातचीत ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए आम जनता से। आज देखिए, जो लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी ने, आप उनके ही 31st लेक्चर को संबोधित कर रहे हैं, मैं आपको इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि शास्त्री जी का नारा जय जवान जय किसान था। और जय जवान जय किसान ने एक संदेश ऐसा दिया कि पूरे देश को एक सूत्र में बांध दिया, और ऐसा बांधा कि आप समझ नहीं सकते कि कैसे देश इतनी बड़ी लड़ाई पहली बार हज़ारों साल के बाद भारत लड़ाई जीता। एक जो लड़ाई हुई वॉर हुआ वो जीते हैं हम लोग। तो उसके मन में आया पर किसान की बात आई, तो बाबूजी ने उस नारे को जो दिया, शास्त्री जी ने उस नारे को दिया, मैं समझता हूँ उस नारे से पूरा देश हिल गया, देश बढ़ गया। और यही नहीं, आप देखें बाबूजी ने उस समय, शास्त्री जी ने उस समय अपील किया था कि खाने के लिए सोमवार की व्रत मंडे। मैं आपको इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि ये पॉलिटिक्स जब हम हैं, हम डेमोक्रेसी में, इतने बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी में हैं, तो हमारा कर्तव्य हो जाता है कि सिर्फ अपने बनाना, कागज़ बनाना है, कागज़ में बनाना, सब करना, वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन आप हकीकत को जानें, आप उसको पहचाने। क्या है कि आज जो है आपका ये समय जब हुआ था वॉर का, तो मैं आपको बता रहा था कि जय किसान के नारे के बाद जब बाबूजी ने कहा कि अपील किया कि हम लोग अगर एक सोमवार को एक समय का भोजन छोड़ दें तो शायद हम लोग अपने भुखमरी के है ज़्यादा, उसको हम मिल सकेंगे, हम उसके अगेंस्ट जो लड़ाई है भुखमरी के खिलाफ, उसको हम फेस कर सकेंगे। तो बाबूजी ने कहा था और लोगों ने, सब ने कर लिया। एंड आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू, Suman Bery ji, I was yesterday attending the 55th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture at the Indian Council of Agricultural Research Center, and I found the tremendous appeal in the people's mind कि कैसे किसानों को बाबूजी ने, शास्त्री जी ने आगे बढ़ाया. They talked and they all came to me. They all came and had lot of pictures with me. I'm not saying this is not, it's not any कोई बता नहीं रहा हूँ कोई आपको कि कहने के. मेरा कहना ये है कि लोगों के मन के अंदर एक आशा और उम्मीद बहुत जागी है. और जब मोदी जी बने प्रधानमंत्री तो एक जागृति आई और लगा कि बहुत तेज़ी से काम बनेगा, तेज़ी से देश आगे बढ़ेगा. बढ़ रहा है, कोई उसमें गलत बात नहीं है, बढ़ रहा है. वी आर प्रोग्रेसिंग, वी आर गोइंग अहेड, एंड आई एम श्योर बाय 2047 जो कहते हैं 100 ईयर्स का हमारा लक्ष्य है, बार हम आज़ादी के 100 साल हो जाएंगे, तो अब 2047 में हम होंगे नहीं होंगे आई डोंट नो, लेकिन उस पर जो काम हो रहा है वो अच्छा है, बहुत बड़ा है. एंड इट इज़ अ मस्ट. आज हमारे जितने बच्चे स्कूल के, कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, ये सब बैठे हैं, ये लोग बहुत आशा और उम्मीद लगा के बैठे हैं. तो आई would just like to mention my feelings which came to me when I was. तो लोगों के मन में है, हम लोगों को सोचना पड़ेगा, और जो लोग राजनीति में हैं ख़ास तौर से उनको सोचना पड़ेगा और ज़्यादा गंभीरता से. तो आप को मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि आप वाइस चेयरपर्सन ऑफ नीति आयोग सुमन बेरी जी, आप का एक अपना अनुभव है, आपने बड़ी अच्छा तरीके से समझाया यहाँ और लोगों को सबको बताया आपने कि क्या क्या नीति आयोग में सोचा जा रहा है, कैसे किया जा रहा है. और मेरा ये कहना है कि थोड़ा सा जो हर जगह, मतलब जहाँ जहाँ जा सकते हैं, मैं आपके लिए नहीं कह रहा हूँ, लेकिन आपका नीति आयोग ऐसी कमिटीज़ बना सकता है, ऐसे छोटे छोटे मीटिंग्स कर सकता है और लोगों से जाए, गांव में, हर ब्लॉक पे, हर वहाँ पर, वहाँ पूछे कि क्या क्या तकलीफ़ें हैं. दैट विल बी मच बेटर. अगर वो बताएंगे तो लोग सुनेंगे और फिर उस पर कुछ अमल किया उन्होंने और आगे गवर्नमेंट ने कर दिया तो वाहवाही होगी और खूब खुश होंगे लोग. नहीं होगा तो अपनी शिकायत बताएंगे तो आप उससे सोच सकते हैं कि कैसे हम अपने तरीके को बदल दें. तो आई वुड नॉट लाइक टू टेक मच ऑफ योर टाइम नाउ बिकॉज ऑलरेडी कुछ आप लोगों का क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर का हो गया, इसलिए हम लोग को टाइम कम मिल गया और मुझे ख़ास तौर से कम मिल गया क्योंकि सबसे आखिर मैं वोट ऑफ थैंक्स कर रहा हूँ, वर्ड ऑफ थैंक्स कर रहा हूँ सर. बट आई वुड सर्टनली लाइक टू से वन थिंग दैट ये जो आपका एक बात मैं ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि ये जो नीति आयोग का देखिए कितना बड़ा है कि there is a distribution of powers between the center and the states. Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution provides 3 lists that prescribe the powers of both the government, and concurrent list implies cooperative federalism. इसी पर आप बोल रहे थे, तो मैं ये कह रहा था, the most recent initiative is the goods and services tax, which has become a common platform for both the center and the state for levying tax. It is a comprehensive and uniform tax that replaced many indirect taxes. Well, I'm just putting this point. तो मेरा ये कहना है कि सर आप competitive federalism जो है ये and cooperative federalism and all these things क्या इसके लिए एक आवश्यकता है, mechanism होना चाहिए, coordination होना चाहिए between the union and states, institutions like the National Development Council, Finance Commission and zonal councils have promoted cooperative federalism. The government has regularly tried to make it more practical and real. तो ये है, तो मैं इसी में कहते हुए आपसे आपका ये ज़रूर कहूँगा, धन्यवाद दूंगा सर कि सुमन बेरी जी आप यहाँ पर आए, आपने अपना विचार रखा एज वाइस चेयरपर्सन ऑफ नीति आयोग, और बहुत अच्छी तरह से रखा आपने. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू से दैट एक चीज़ मेरे दिमाग में और आता है, वो भी कह दूंगा मैं. आई वुड लाइक टू से because I would like to flag one more issue which has surfaced in recent times by quoting the important meetings of NITI Aayog by political parties. आप चीफ मिनिस्टर्स की बात कर रहे थे, सब कुछ कर रहे थे, तो इसी वजह से थोड़ा सा तो must be not allowed to infiltrate in the very functioning. ये बहुत इसको हम लोगों को रोकना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अगर पार्टीज़ के उस पर हम चलने लगेंगे तो फिर कैसे हम अपने नीति आयोग को आगे बढ़ाएंगे. नीति आयोग के द्वारा अपने प्रोग्राम्स जो हैं जो जनता तक पहुंचाना है वो कैसे पहुंचेगा. तो आई थिंक वी मस्ट सी टू इट दैट ऐसी चीज़ें नहीं आनी चाहिए. और ये बायकॉट करने की जो बात है ये दिस इज़ एब्सोल्युटली रबिश. आई डोंट एग्री विद इट. तो मैं लास्टली आई वुड लाइक टू से that distinguished guest Suman Bery ji, Vice Chairperson of NITI Aayog, has brilliantly touched upon the factors current and futuristic both. I congratulate him for his in-depth analytical speech. Thank you very much, sir. I'm much obliged. Thank you.
As we conclude today's distinguished lecture, I express my heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries, esteemed guests, and attendees for your presence and participation. Your support and engagement continues to uphold the spirit and legacy of Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. Before we part, I warmly invite all our guests to kindly join us for high tea. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. यहाँ पे कोई पेपर रखा है